Right, so hello everyone and welcome back to a very, very different YouTube video today. So I am currently on my way out to meet a client on my fitness app and I'm taking him through a personal training session. So he had originally contacted me and asked how much would it cost for me to come out and do a personal training session, but it's been a couple of years since I was an in-person PT, so I told him unfortunately it's not something that I do anymore, and if I was to do it, it would cost a hell of a lot of money. But I said, if you allow me to bring Jamie out with his camera to record a PT session for my YouTube as part of my general promotion for the fitness app, that I would happily oblige and do it for free. So I'm out here on my way to meet Paddy, instruct him through one of the workouts on the fitness app. It's very, very interesting for me because I haven't PT'd someone in about 2 years or so since COVID closed down the gyms when I was back in my days as an in-person personal trainer. Anyway, I'm stumbling over my words. We're going to check in and meet you at Paddy's house. So, rather than doing a dumbbell goblet squat here with Paddy today, what I want to do is a leg extension. So we're going to take out the dumbbell goblet squat, hit the shuffle button. He's going to have gym alternatives, and then we're going to swap in a leg extension. It's as simple as that. So if you're lacking equipment and everything else, it's going to be very, very straightforward to swap it out. On that note, I'm here with Paddy. So you would have seen the introduction there earlier. Paddy is a member of the fitness app. He signed up there about 3 weeks ago, asked me to come out and show him the ropes with a couple of exercises, just make sure that he's doing everything right. So we're going to take him through a full PT session. It's actually exciting enough for me because I haven't PT'd in person in about 2 years. So you're my first in-person client for a very long time. So we're going to get stuck straight into the workout. The first exercise we're going to put Paddy through is going to be a lying hack squat. Now, with respect to a warm-up, I'm not going to waste too much time with it. I think the shorter and sweeter the workouts can be, the better. So we're just going to load up a light-ish weight on the hack squat, go through a couple of repetitions, stay a little bit away from failure, and then we'll get into the working sets. I'm very fucking jealous of this place. It's exactly what you need.
I can hire it out you if you want. So, question before I start, what are we hitting? Hamstrings?
You're hitting your quads, so the front of the legs.
So
there'll be like glutes as well, so there's crossover. Like that's why a lot of the compound exercises involve multiple joints, multiple muscle groups. It's going to be the front of the leg primarily and glutes as well.
Okay, so feet position.
Whatever you would do in a typical barbell squat. So ideally, I like to have a slight turned out toe position. What I want you to think of is a tripod foot. So what that essentially means is 3 touch points. One on the instep, one on the outstep, and one on the heel. So you want to try and maintain that firm contact with that. You don't want your instep like falling in, and you don't want your heels rising up. So you want to make sure that all 3 points of contact remain with the platform. I just want you to control when you're lowering down just a fraction more. It's actually very, very good.
Down?
Yeah, just slightly slow down the rate at which you're lowering. Perfect. One more. Sweet. And rack. It's interesting. Do you know when you were demonstrating the bodyweight squat and it didn't suit you as well? That's an absolute perfect hack squat there. So I think it's a good lesson if there's any exercise that doesn't suit you. Paddy here was finding it quite uncomfortable to do just a bodyweight sort of squat and maintain proper technique. But then when moving on to the lying hack squat, whatever way it's obviously designed just fits his mechanics a little bit better. So it's a more comfortable exercise. Don't feel pigeonholed into doing any specific exercise if there's machine ones, for example, that are better for you. Big breath now before each repetition. Brace against your stomach, as if I'm about to punch you into the abs. Good man. Keep going, keep going. You're way more than that. Good man. One more, I want one more out of it. Good stuff. Good. Out of curiosity, would you have stopped that set where you were going to stop it?
I would.
And consider that set number 1?
I would have had, yeah.
Would that, for you, would that be because you look at a rep range and go, if it says 5 to 6, I have to do 5 to 6?
No, I kind of do the first one, and then on the next two, I'll probably go a few more.
Yeah.
Try and get that failure in.
And good point. And
should you be doing failure on every set? Or close to failure?
It's not so much failure. The reason that I hammer home failure all the time is because I think if most people take a population of 100 people and tell them go to failure, they'll probably still stop short of failure, but at least you're telling them push until it gets very uncomfortable. There would have been perfect, but if you would stop that set where you were going to stop it, it wouldn't have been very effective reps because you want to kind of be at a minimum within 5 reps of, if I was to ask you to do another repetition, you physically couldn't, you'd fail. So that just demonstrated you did have a lot more in the tank. And if what I would do in that situation is if you feel as though, okay, I've done 5 to 6, it's easy, instead of re-racking it, keep going. If you do end up doing fucking 25 for the first set, you know, you've made your mistake, you've...
and then just throwing the weight then...
Up the weight for the next one. Yeah, exactly that. Easy, easy. Good stuff. Good man, give me another one. That's what I love to see. That really slow last repetition as you saw there, that's what you want to be aiming for. If you look back on that video, you go, the first repetition that Paddy did was very smooth, very quick, moved very fluidly. But then that last repetition was a grinder. It was slower, slower, slower. That's what you want to be aiming to achieve. So that was very good. That was on the money. What are we going for on this, so?
I think it was a single leg we were doing, yeah?
Yeah.
I think I only
weight-wise?
I think I only 50 on. My range of motion on this is bad.
Well, what we can do is play around with, you can adjust this, can you?
You can, yeah.
Yeah, so we can adjust the angle of that. Your foot placement on here will help as well. Just see what's more comfortable for you. Right, so you can play around now with whether you want to go low or whether you want to go high. Not too concerned about where your foot placement is as long as it's comfortable for you. Right. Have you tried with a bit higher?
No.
Well, what we're looking to achieve is close, like it's going to depend completely on your mobility. We'll use what's available to us, but if you can get somewhere close to that 90-degree sort of angle at your knee, you're going to be at a good spot. Like you might look at someone like myself and think his knees are going to his chest, therefore mine have to come to my chest. May not necessarily be the case.
Yeah, everyone's range of motion is different. Like.
Different, 100%.
Yeah.
So we'll try the high one and we'll try the low one. I think that that looks much better straight away. Yeah, like at the bottom here, you're getting more than 90 degrees, so I'd be happy with that. And one more. Good man. That's perfect.
So high for me.
How does that feel?
Yes, comfortable enough, yeah.
Comfortable, no pain or anything?
No pain, no. I was just always conscious of getting a bit more depth, like, which I'm getting now, yeah.
The lower you'd go on that, the more it's going to be, the more ankle flexibility is going to be required. So generally the lower, the harder it's going to be. Yeah. Whereas you're going to be able to keep your foot much flatter if you're a little bit higher on it. Good, that's brilliant.
It's light starting off, but don't feel I'm getting heavy.
Oh, 100%. That's like in between single leg exercises as well. Take that 30 seconds. Because after the first,
you're fatigued,
the first side, you're breathing a bit heavy. What you could do is just lower this back. I don't know if that's as far.
Down to the last.
That's down to the last. Perfect. So that's going to suit you. Yeah. Reason being, the further that's up, the more you're hinged. The more you're restricted in your hip mobility there. So you want to probably on any machine just bring that back as far as you can.
We do another set.
Yeah. Good man. That's it. Let's go. Brilliant. Now you're getting the hang of it.
Just need a bit of encouragement.
That's all.
Right. Leg extension.
Yes.
10 to 12 reps. I was doing 160.
Right. We'll be beating that anyway. We're either doing 15 reps of 160 or we're doing whatever the next increment up is.
We'll go 160 first and we'll see.
Do you want to get your bearings first on a lighter weight? Or
Yeah, please.
don't let me rush you into it.
So the setup on this then would say, again, I've heard people saying that your knee should be over the pin.
Yeah, in and around. It's not something I pay too much attention to be honest with you.
As regards to my shins there, is that the right level?
Yeah, so if it's a little bit too far down, it might feel a bit uncomfortable on your knee. But if you feel somewhere around mid-shin or three-quarter shin is fine.
It's okay then.
But then you don't want it too close, because if it's up too high, it's going to be easier on your quad to do. So nice. I think where it is right now is quite good.
Yeah.
But I'll just see how it comes up on the top. How does that feel on your knee?
It's fine.
Yeah. And push through at that top. It's where your quad is going to be weaker, but just try and hold it for a split second at the top.
Okay.
Before you lower down. Form very good. Come on, more in the tank. Let's go. $12. 2 more. Give me 2 more. 1 more. Good stuff.
Fucker.
What was that? 170.
160.
It was better form though. I guarantee you held that better than the last time.
Jenny.
Any severe soreness since you started, or
No.
any leg days? But have you pushed it that hard?
No.
Yeah. I think we're going to leave it at 2.
Yeah.
I think you've more than enough there. Yeah, I don't think you need to be pushing another. Any adaptation is going to be taking place after those couple of sets.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that.
I can
quad.
feel it.
I need you getting to work tomorrow.
Okay.
It's after locking there again. We're on to hamstrings, so. Good stuff. First thing to move is your butt to the back of the room. Good. Good. We put it back. Good stuff. What we might experiment with next time is just narrowing that stance a small bit. So your default stance on like a squat would be somewhere around here. So we want to try and maintain that to some degree. Sometimes when you're out a little bit more like that, just can be a little bit more awkward. Yeah.
Okay. Go narrower stance.
I would try a narrower stance. Yeah.
Toes slightly out.
Not even. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Depends. Somewhere around shoulder width, whatever is more or less comfortable for you.
Okay.
So maybe slightly wider or slightly narrower. Good. That's fucking spot on.
It feels better as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Slow on the way down, forceful on the way up. Brilliant. Let's get another one. Ideal. Much better. It just looked more comfortable
felt
as well.
better as well, yeah. Balance even. Yeah.
100%. Generally, like there'll be a lot of crossover for whatever exercise that you're doing between what your preferred squat stance is. So that'll apply for an RDL, if you're doing a good morning or something like that, if you're doing any squat or leg press variation. Like what I'll do for a squat will generally be my preferred stance for my leg press. It's just because it's going to suit your mobility the best. And they're all reflections of each other. Hack squat is a leg press, is a back squat when it comes to the pattern of the exercise.
So say on your app we'll say it in, right? I'm going on to a hack squat. So feet position, stick with that foot position for a duration of time, and then maybe change it height wise. You're hitting different parts of the legs.
There'll be a little bit more emphasis. Like the more, so when you change your foot position, so the lower you'll go on the platform, for example, there's going to be more flexion at the knee, which means it's going to be more quads.
Yeah.
When you go a little bit higher, there's going to be more flexion at the hip, so you're going to be bending a little bit more.
Glutes and hamstrings.
It's going to be a little bit more glutes. So small differences, but like what comes first is what's the mobility that's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
And like you're going to be hitting a decent proportion of quads and glutes regardless of what stance that you use. It's just if you were really specializing on, I want to hit glutes properly this time,
you go higher,
you'd emphasize the higher position. If you wanted to focus on quads, which is what I do, I'm fucking a massive arse, so I don't need any more glute involvement. What I do
so
is
you go as low as possible.
Quite low, but in order to get to that low position, I've worked a lot on ankle mobility.
Yeah, I don't have that.
So it's very, very, what I used to do when I was younger was sit against a wall, and I'd experiment sitting in a squat position. So I do, let's say, wall sits, get a little bit lower every time. So over time, I just built up great mobility in my hips and my ankles. Simple little things like stretches. If you were to go against a wall, just if you were to just stick your ankle up against a wall,
and lean forward.
like a calf stretch, and you're just trying to access a slightly greater range of motion every time. Another thing that you can do is if you have kettlebells or a dumbbell. So I actually would objectively notice a difference. If I was feeling a little bit stiff around my ankle or something, what I used to do, just very briefly prior or after a session, was to try and put a weight on top and then just try and increase that stretch a little bit more until you get that nice stretch down the back. Something you want to avoid when you're trying to do, let's say, hip stretches or any sort of stretch. You don't want to overextend it too quickly. You want to think, what is my mobility now? How can I just slightly access a slightly greater range of motion through this stretch? Like if you overdo it, let's say you're stretching out your back, which I've done before, grabbing a wall or a door, and you really try and pull as hard as you can, something will fucking go. So just like progressive overload, like tiny plates either side, how can I just get a slightly better range of motion this time, and then the next time I do it slightly better again. So if you do find yourself kind of form going to some degree, just strip the weight back for the time being, focus on just drilling that technique. Obviously technique's going to be the foundation. Now there is kind of like a trade-off. You don't want to limit how much you overload just because you feel your technique could be a little bit better. Sometimes it's just kind of like if you practice that enough times, it'll just be like second nature to you. But if it's awkward and you don't feel quite comfortable with it, would you be better off, even though I have good grip, to use the straps? I would. Just as you're getting close to failure, you're losing that slight grip. By the end of that set now, what do you feel was more likely to give first, the back of your legs or your grip? Fingers. Yeah, so as strong as your grip is, I definitely would get a handle on some straps. If that straight away allows you, let's say in those 3 sets that you did there, an extra 2 reps per set, that's 6 extra reps that you did for the backs of the legs. And when you think about using straps, whether it's a back exercise or a hamstring exercise, you want to think about what is the goal of this exercise. If it's a back exercise, you want to bring your back as close to failure. You don't want to bring your grip to failure. So what can I do is going to allow me to get an extra couple of repetitions for the target muscle. Lastly is, I'm assuming, leg curls. We'll have to give a shout out now to, what's your roofing company? Just PH Carpentry Services. We'll put PH Carpentry Services in the description of this video as a thank you for Paddy's wonderful invitation to come out and see his home gym. Right. So this is one now you want to be really tightly locked into it. Imagine you have a seatbelt around your hips now, so you want to stop your hips from popping forward. Something that helps me now, if you want to place force against the pad, so you want to push against the pad just to really emphasize holding yourself in that seated position or keeping your hips down. Just like, is that okay? Actively push, push against the pad by all means. Spot on. 2 more. Last one. Good. We'll drop back the weight for the next one. That was solid though. What's the difference, Sean, as regards, say on your app, it's a lion curl as regards to a seated curl? It's just a variation. But I would argue maybe the resistance profile is a little bit superior on the leg curls. So essentially there's just a better level of resistance being allocated to the hamstring in the seated position as opposed to the lying one. Because as you come to kind of the top of the lying one, it drops off. Do you know, as the pad is, let's say, directly facing gravity, there's less of resistance at the top there. But I would say they're both very much the same. But I would prefer, if given the choice, a seated leg curl. I want to see what your goblet squat is like, so that's just going to be a counterbalance for you. Foot of the palm. Normal squat, comfortable stance, whatever your comfortable position is. That'd be kind of it. Keep that against your chest now. Okay. So what I think would suit you a bit better would be starting from a seated position and working up both the strength and the mobility over the course of a couple of sessions with it. So what I might usually do is just start from as if you're sitting down, find your comfortable position,
And
literally just get used to standing up, just that motion.
okay.
Keeping that dumbbell against your chest. Yeah. Perfect. Good man. Like that looks so much better already. I nearly wouldn't be throwing a bar on your back.
No?
I think at this point, you can try it and we can see, but I would prioritize exercises like the leg press, the hack squat, but also that variation as well, box squats probably.
Okay.
Have we calves left to do?
Calves. That's it then. So you'll be doing your calves down here, yeah?
Yeah, that's actually going to be probably better than that.
Okay. It is actually better.
Yeah.
I get more of a stretch.
Make sure your ball or your foot now is on bottom of the platform. When you're coming through to the calf, now we may need to strip back the weight, but you really want to drive onto the ball of your foot as much as possible.
Like that, the same
Yeah,
stretch there.
So allow your ankle to flex as much as it can underneath, and then as you're pushing the weight back up, try and push onto your tippy toes as much as you can. Slow on the way down, stretch it out as much as possible, and up.
That's a way better stretch than that.
Even that in and of itself is going to be mobility training for your ankle.
Yeah.
So you really emphasize the stretch at the bottom of that, you'll over time start to overload your ankle mobility. You'll be fucking flying it through
There's
a back squat.
Savage stretch there.
Yeah. Good. I think just a relevant point there. So obviously Paddy's doing a variation of an exercise that he hasn't done before. So if you don't want to be very, very sore the next day, if you're doing a new exercise, you're coming back to training after time off, or you're doing a completely different exercise that you're not used to doing, it might help just to strip back the intensity in general for the first exercise or the first session or two that you do, because then you'll get a gauge as to how sore you are the next day from that new stimulus, and then from there you'll be able to upregulate the intensity over a couple of sessions. You don't need to blow the load straight away. Take it session by session, slowly dial up the intensity, how close you're bringing it to failure, and then from there you'll have a good gauge of what you're able to tolerate. Right, we're going to end the video here. I want to thank Paddy for allowing me into his lovely, lovely home gym. I'm sure he's learned a lot taken away from today's session. I'm going to leave Paddy's carpentry business in the description here. Is there any words that you'd like to say about today's session?
Thanks a million for coming out, Sean. I suppose there's very few that get the opportunity, and I appreciate it.
I know, look, Paddy contacted me, as I said, he's been a member on the app for the last 3 or 4 weeks at this stage, been seeing really, really good gains inside in the gym. So he asked me to come out, show him the ropes. I said, it's not something that I normally do, but I will do it under the condition that he'd be comfortable enough to shoot a YouTube video with me. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure to drop it a like, a subscribe if you haven't done so already, and make sure to tune in to the next one.